Park Board meeting, City of Brainerd, Minnesota, City Hall, Council Chambers, Tuesday, December 14th, 2021, 4 o'clock p.m. Can somebody lead us in roll call, please?
Tim Boder.
Aye.
Troy Rushmeyer. Kara Schaefer. Andrew Scheip. Kevin Yeager.
Yes. Very good, thank you. And let the record state that Andrew Scheip just walked in here, so we got Andrew Scheip in presence. So will somebody lead us, please, in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I choose Andrew.
Andrew, very good. Mayor chose Andrew.
Pattern push-ups.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, item number 4 is an approval of the agenda. We have our agenda in front of you. I'm looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mr. Boder,
Second.
second by Ms. Schaefer. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 5, this is the consent calendar. Notice to the public, that all matters listed are considered routine by the board and will be enacted upon by one motion. There's no separate discussion of these items unless good cause is shown prior to the time the board votes on the motion. This includes item 5A, approval of the minutes, 5B, approval of disbursements, 5C, financial reports, 5D, year-end transfer of funds, 5E, 2022 meeting schedule. So with that, I will be moving to, I need an approval of the consent calendar. Motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Ms. Schaefer,
Second.
second by Mr. Scheip. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. And we have a consent calendar. Item number 6 is our presentations. First on the list here is the Rotary Riverside Park Fireplace proposal. I believe we have a setup by Paul. Are you setting this up? Okay, very good.
We have 2 members of the Rotary Club who've been very active in the construction of the new pavilion down at the park. Here tonight with us to give us a brief overview of a proposal they have about on the next project that they're wanting to take on down there, and it includes an installation of a fireplace in the pavilion. You guys all got a handout. I think Andrew hasn't got one yet, but you have a handout of the fireplace, kind of the schematic design of that, and I guess I'll turn it over to John or Pete to kind of present out on what you guys got going on down there.
Please, whoever would like to step up, just state your name, please, and let us hear what you have to say.
I'm Pete Nelson from Rotary. And so we're pleased with the results so far down at Rotary Park, and it's been part of our master plan that we would actually install this fireplace as part of that pavilion. And so, but before we went further than this concept, we really wanted to meet with the park board, because we don't want to go down a path if it isn't something that the park board would like see us doing down there. So we came up with this conceptual sketch, and it's just a conceptual sketch. It would still need to have engineered drawings, but this is what we were thinking of. And then we also started to think about some other aspects of this, and one of them was fire. This is intended to be a fireplace that could be actually be used as a fireplace. And then we were thinking about, well, it'd be desirable to have be able to cook. We're anticipating this as a gathering place where people could actually do that. And so as we were thinking about this cooking aspect, then we also started to think about, well, we should have some electric power there, and we've had some discussions about actually using solar power and using that as a further educational piece. And the theme in that park is environment, so we thought, well, this is a good example. And then we're thinking about restrooms down there, because all of the other parks have restroom facilities, And so we were thinking about that. And we can't do all of this at one time, of course, but we were really wanted to make sure that whatever we're working on, even furnishing with picnic tables, or maybe the city already was planning to do that, or landscaping and so forth. So we're presenting this concept, and we would like to do this. On the other hand, we want to make sure that whatever we're doing is harmonious, I guess, with whatever plans the park board would have, or if in the management of the parks in general, if you would encourage us to go in some direction or another. So that, in a nutshell, is kind of where our thought process is, and this is something that we would try and take on next construction season.
Awesome, thank you. So please stay up just in case we have any questions for you real quick. And at this time, I'll turn it over to my esteemed colleagues here for any questions, comments, or concerns.
I don't have any concerns at all. I'm just, it's once you start with the first project, you have to work on the domino effect and get things tipping down. So I think it's fantastic. Whatever the Rotary wants to put up with, they've been so good to us for the last number of years. It's fantastic. Whatever would help you guys would be fine with me.
Awesome, thank you, Mr. Boder. Mr. Sandy.
Yeah, just to let the board know, I did speak with the fire chief just because of the fireplace aspect of this. I sent him the conceptual drawings. He didn't have any issues with this at all. He said that the biggest thing would be to have a fire extinguisher available down at the pavilion. So it's just something we'll have to keep in mind if this fireplace does come to fruition, that we get a fire extinguisher down there.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Sandy. Any other comments or questions? Mr. Scheib, please.
One question about just the drawing. There's kind of the two cabinets on the side of the main firebox. Is
Yeah.
that the cooking areas you mentioned, or?
These are architectural concepts, and so we envision that there could be like storage under there. And so, but then the question is, we would probably want to lock it up, and what would we need to store, and so forth. So it's truly conceptual at this time.
Oh, sure.
Awesome.
I'm just curious about firewood, or so I know we sell firewood at the campground. How are people are they bringing their own firewood? Have you thought that far? How will we?
I don't know. We've had kind of mixed thoughts about that. We don't want people to go out and tear into the woods and,
Yeah, that's what I'd be worried about.
that sort of thing. On the other hand, if you put a couple of cords of wood down there and made it a free-for-all, I don't know how fast that would disappear.
It'd make it the weekend.
It's beautiful though, but I'm just things like that.
I think it would be a bring your own firewood deal.
Yeah.
At least that's what I would expect. Rotary, there's an awful lot of deadfall, and we certainly have looked at how do we get rid of this deadfall. There is enough deadfall that we could probably have many, many seasons of firewood there. And it could be that the club takes that on as a project, and rather than try and just have burn piles, actually do something more constructive with it. Because we have trees that fall over the trails and so forth, and so there's some cleanup that we do in that regard. But anyway, so I'm just sharing some thoughts with you.
Sure.
It's not a firm plan, so.
Anything else? Ms. Scheib?
One question for Paul. I know we have money set aside for cameras kind of each year. I think next year was Kiwanis. But if they put something like this up that would be lovely and we'd want to keep it, is there a chance we could look at doing cameras for this as well next year? Or is that just, I know the budget talks later.
Yeah, we had $6,500 in our annual budget for one camera system or replacement, and that's basically a quote we got from Midwest Security. The biggest question we have, and it has to do with the College Drive Bridge too, is are these systems more expensive when you add a solar component to it? We don't have power really available under the College Drive Bridge, in which we see a lot of vandalism, and we would like to get one down there. That $6,500 was planned for Kiwanis, but obviously it's, if the board feels it, more useful in a different location, then that's certainly your prerogative, but we'll be sticking a lot of money into Kiwanis next year too. So.
Oh, sure. Thanks.
Awesome. Other questions? Mr. Bedell?
I just have more of a question of what the ask is, because you have this here, but then you also mentioned other items as well. What are you guys asking for, would be my main question with this.
Today, specifically, I think, follow.
Yeah, well, in our master plan, we've identified a number of things, and I mentioned a few of those, but we didn't want to proceed on just our own without making sure that whatever we're proceeding with is in harmony with whatever the park board is thinking. So we envision that we've got several years of projects down there. And so kind of one step at a time,
So it's what we see
we'll
in
take
front
them
of us,
on.
right?
Yeah.
Not now. Yeah, I think it's where you were going with this, right? Awesome. I have a couple
and
quick.
this is a standalone, I should mention.
That was one of my questions here.
Oh, okay. Yes, it's intended to be a standalone. So that roof that's shown in the drawing is a tuck under to the roof that's
It
existing.
sits behind the existing building,
Yes,
right? It's
yeah.
meant to nestle in kind of underneath it, right?
Yeah.
Got it. That
Yeah.
was one of my questions. Another question I have is, are you intending on building this fireplace masonry, real stones, or is this intended to be lightweight stone, composite stones? Don't know yet.
No, it's intended to be matching the rest of all the rock work.
Okay, got it.
Like we did at
Right.
the entrance and so forth, because it just seems to flow better.
Sure.
We like that look, and we think it kind of pays respect to all of the previous work down there.
And the cleaning out of the pit, so hypothetically, do you see park staff doing the maintenance and the cleaning out of the pit and the maintenance of this weekly, or is this something that Rotary would be helping out with, meaning the ashes, if it's a masonry fireplace, ash pit, that kind of thing?
We really hadn't thought about that.
Understood. Got it. And just real quickly, just globally speaking here, would you be okay if we gave you just a general go-ahead that we're okay with the general idea here, but would you be okay with us asking you to come back to us and just have us have a look at the actual selections of materials once you get closer?
If you want, I can. I think I selected all the materials before. And so I know those sources, so it would basically be the same sources that we've used at the entrance and the pavilion.
Gotcha.
But
That would be turned into city staff into the permitting process anyways, in which we could take a look at just our standards, right? Awesome. Okay. Any other questions, anyone? All right, very good. So we're not really looking for a motion on this, Mr. Sandy, at this point. It appears as though we have a general consensus. I'm going to speak for the group here, and if I'm speaking out of session, please let me know. But it looks like we have a general consensus that what you're presenting here is aligns with what we'd like to see. So was that correct, guys?
2 thumbs up.
Very good. So, and we couldn't be happier with the work that you guys do down there. It's beautiful. It's fantastic. Dave and I were down there over the summer at an engagement. It's just fantastic. So we very much enjoy your partnership and encourage you to great things.
Well, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, very good. We're going to move on to item number 7. This is unfinished business. The first is 7A. This is approve the Lum Park Master Plan, Brainerd Parks and Recreational Design Standards. Mr. Sandy, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Guess there's not really a lot to say about this item. We all have been working on this tirelessly for the last year. I think it's been about the last year. So the one thing that did get added to this at the request of staff and the park board to WIDSETH was when we get to the master plan document itself, they added a write-up about kind of how we got to this point, which kind of lays the framework to the time and effort we put into the different improvements. It explains, what our thought process was, and kind of goes over that. So that's the one thing we did ask of them, and they did provide it to us. Otherwise, it's basically the document we've seen over and over and over again, and have modified it continuously throughout this process. And I think as we talked in the past, it's a live document. We'll be able to add to this as we get new improvements done, add actual examples. You know, there's some old examples of pavilions and things in here that will be upgraded in the near future. And so certainly as we move through the years, we'll be able to, I believe like this, you know, we'll actually be able to put the improved Kiwanis shelter picture next to the old one, kind of thing. So live document, you know, once this is like solidified and approved, we'd ask WIDSET this to provide the native files for everything, the Excel spreadsheet, and go from that point. But really, it's just an approval of this final document here tonight, and we'll put this thing to bed before 2022.
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Sandy. Yeah, and just a quick reminder to the group here that our Lum Park Master Plan does not necessarily mean that's what we would have to build. This is just kind of a placeholder for what our general mindset is, and anything that we do at Lum Park, we would get, again, the ability to review new documentation, new plans and specs, and so forth. So I'm going to turn it over to the group here to just share any thoughts if they have any. Otherwise, you'll be looking for a motion to approve both of these under one motion, or do you want separate motions here, Mr. Sandy?
I think they should be separate.
Okay, very good. So, yeah, any thoughts, anyone? If not, we'll be looking for a motion on each document separately, the design standards and then the Lum Park Master Plan.
Well, the design standards, you're the expert on guidelines. I mean, is there anything you see that brings up your attention at all?
Paul and I have been working on this design standard pretty intimately for the last, I don't know, however long it's been, seems like 7 years, but it's been, since its inception. And again, it shouldn't be thought of as the end all be all of, and not intended to solve every single question that comes to us. It's a general global direction of where we as a group identified we wanted to go. So it allows staff to be able to execute decisions without bringing every single thing before us. So in summary, yeah, I'm very happy with both the design standards and the Lum Park overall macro design. Yeah, that's my 2 cents.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the Lum Park Master Plan.
All right, we have a motion to approve the Lum Park Master Plan. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Shipe. Do we have any discussion? All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. So that was the master plan, Mr. Sandy.
Move to approve the design standards guidelines document.
All right, we have a motion to approve the standards by Mr. Shipe.
Second.
And a second by Mr. Boder. Do we have any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Very good. I'd like to thank our partners that worked on this as well as city staff. This was a pretty quick motion here, right in and out, but this encompasses a lot of work, and I'd like to thank all of the parties that were a part of pulling this together, city staff and otherwise. So thank you very much. Very good. Moving on to item number 7B, this is 7B. This is approved the master architect contract with Travis Miller for 2022 Parks capital projects. Mr. Miller's not here, but I'm sure Mr. Sandy can fill us in.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So after our last meeting, I approached Mr. Miller with this concept, this idea, well, prior to last meeting also, but, kind of let him know what the direction we were kind of wanting to go in. He provided his professional services agreement. We had our city attorney review it. I did have the red line version. It's not in the packet. There was a couple of things that the city attorney asked to be removed. I think the biggest one was the risk allocation statement. That leaves the city open to some liability concerns that the city attorney had, and Travis was agreeable to delete that section in its entirety. And so that was gone. Some other just minor clarifications about scopes of project being on kind of a project by project basis. And so that would be a discussion between the city staff and Travis prior to the start of a building remodel or something to let him know that, okay, here's, he's seen our design standards. He knows kind of the direction the park board's going, but it's making sure that we're on the same page on what we need him to do as far as scope, so that he's not doing too much for us or he's not doing enough. So it's on more of a project by project basis, and this would only last for 1 year at a time. So we would, review the previous year's projects with Travis and make sure that we're moving in the right direction. And if the park board likes the final product, we continue moving forward in that direction, or we, look at a different service provider for these types of services. But all in all, I think Travis would be a great selection and his firm for this. He's worked with us a lot on our previous projects. He knows kind of the ins and outs of our buildings that we've recently constructed, and I think this would be a very beneficial service for city staff to have as part of our repertoire going into these capital building projects. The civil side, we have the technical staff to work on that stuff in our parks. This architectural side, we don't have the technical competency on our staff level to do that type of stuff. So,
Fantastic. All right, any questions, guys?
I think 75, 95, and 120 an hour for rates is actually pretty good rates.
Yeah, I agree.
For professional appearance is expensive, so that's actually seems more than fair.
I said one quick question. If I remember correctly, there was a certain dollar amount of which it would then need to go into a competitive marketplace. Can you refresh my memory on what that is, Mr. Sandy?
yeah, so for example, I believe next year we have $75,000 in the budget for the remodel of the bathrooms at Kiwanis. We had 20 for the pavilion and 10, I think, for the gazebo. So that would be considered kind of one project.
Right.
The statutory threshold for competitive bidding is
Got
$175,000,
it.
and that's for the actual construction work. As far as professional services go, the city can direct select any contractor or any professional service provider, such as WSB or Widseth or whomever, at their own prerogative. That's up to the city. It's a professional service. So when it comes to actual construction contracts, that threshold is $175,000.
Okay, but as far as the selection of engineering teams, architectural teams, those don't necessarily, no matter the size of the contract, necessarily have to go to the competitive bid process.
No, they do not. No.
Okay. But it's a process that we use commonly. And can you just kind of talk us through about why you would use it or not use it in some situations?
When we have, for example, larger professional service type needs, it's a larger project, for example, a multi-million-dollar type of infrastructure or park project, that's where we would typically let an RFP out and let it be kind of competitive as far as having a review committee, having, scores, having a score sheet, and making sure that the consultant team is covering all of the aspects of the project that we want covered. With these smaller scope projects like this, it's something that a lot of times, the city would just direct select those because it's not something that a lot of the larger firms would really want to take a jump at because it's, that small amount of work that, and I would say that there's something to say about being consistent with, the past and how we've worked with certain architecture firms or things like that. And there's a lot of times where the city's actually direct selected even bigger contracts. For example, if we have trail projects around the city and we've used a certain consultant on trail projects a lot and had really good success with, a lot of times we'll just say, instead of having, it takes a lot of time for consultants to put these documents together, these proposals, and so there's a lot of times where you necessarily don't want to solicit an RFP and then kind of already have your mind set up of who you're going to go with.
Where I'm going with this is I believe that the competitive marketplace is a powerful tool, not only for money extraction, but also for the ability of these outside vendors to perform. So as long as, I guess where I'm coming from, guys, is as long as we feel like if we have a sizable project in front of us, that we can have an open dialogue of whether or not this should be a direct select or whether or not this should be an RFP type item. As long as we feel like we can have that conversation, I'm okay with this. I guess I'm not okay with saying from this point forward, you have carte blanche to pick whoever you want for any size of project. So I guess that's where I'm going with this, because I do believe in the competitive marketplace in larger projects. Is that something you feel like as we move forward, we could have dialogue openly about with more sizable projects?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, like for example, the Mississippi Landing Trailhead is a perfect example of that, where we went through a very substantial proposal process where, Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
Okay.
That sentiment, so.
Then I think we're on the same page. This is really a mechanism to help you conduct your business smoothly and more efficiently on a daily basis, daily type items. All right, very good. Any other thoughts or questions? Okay, so you're looking for an approval on this, is that correct, Mr. Sandy?
Correct.
All right, at this time, I'll be looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Got a motion to approve by Mr. Boder
Second.
and a second by Ms. Schaefer. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Item C, approve the pickleball court net selection for Memorial Park. Dun, dun, dun. Here we are. It's riveting. This is like, all right, let's see what we got this week. All right, do you need to set this up, Mr. Standard? You're going to come right up, Chris, and lay it on us.
Feel the tension.
Let's go, Chris. Let's do this.
I figured it just
It's
come
all
right
yours,
up,
buddy.
so.
This corner.
This is it. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling good about this one.
All right, so I believe you have this in your packet.
We do.
So this one is, I think, aligns better with kind of what I've been getting from feedback from you. So these would actually be, there's kind of this metal sleeve that actually gets cored into the concrete. This would really more fasten in place, whereas the portables, they're on wheels, they kind of roll around. So this is, I think, more theft resistant as maybe what you were kind of looking for. They are a little bit more expensive options. I think we'd have to do a few things there to seal those up when we make ice on these. We don't want water getting down there and freezing. That could cause us some issues. Other than that, I think that kind of, again, aligns with what I thought your vision was, what you were looking for on this thing. So I guess I'm open to questions on that, and if I'm still off, I guess we can keep digging for stuff. But
Does everyone on the board have, you're recalling the history of what we're trying to accomplish here, right, everyone? Okay, very good. So does anyone have any questions? Look over this. Anybody have any questions about these new in-ground stanchions?
Yeah, my question.
All right, perfect.
My question was going to be about what you mentioned about the water getting down there. So is it really feasible that we could protect it and have no water get down there?
I honestly don't think you can protect it completely, but I mean, as you know, water and ice is our biggest enemy up here in winter for roads or whatever, and concrete and pavement and stuff. You get water in there, it freezes and expands, and bad things happen. So that's my biggest concern with something like this.
Yeah.
If this was just strictly pickleball, not making ice on it, this is probably the way to go. But that would be my one concern on this, would be the issues with ice in the winter, making ice over the top.
Mr. Sandy?
Yeah, so we had a couple of other, so our maintenance staff, Troy, and our maintenance staff did look at these two, and, you know, with Katie looking at doing other events on these rinks too, possibly roller type events, roller skating types of things. We are a little nervous about the sleeve type system, not only from the water standpoint and from the making ice. So I know our maintenance staff is concerned about the sleeved option. They have expressed that to me. You know, the theft thing is also a concern too. So it's really, you know, one of those, I don't know. It's, if we had a gut shot recommendation, I would say that we would go, you know, we would want to go with something like the portable, that Dominator one. That was one of the first ones. It is a cheaper option also. But like I said, there's risk both ways, I guess. And that's the part we're trying to kind of solve here. But
I guess to add on to that, it's going to be cheaper for you to replace portable nets than it is to start sawing and replacing concrete out there if it starts freezing and thawing. And those, you know, the ones on the wheels that are more portable, I think that gives you more flexibility too if you want to wheel them out of the way and have whatever you plan out there. So kind of the pros and cons, I guess, of it. But.
Okay, guys.
I love the idea of the hinge sleeve mounted in. I also hate it, if that makes sense.
It
I mean,
does.
it's perfect, but it's awful.
The one thing I'll say about this is the portable option is not permanent. We could try it. We could buy our portables. We could see how they go, see if we have problems, see what comes up, and keep in our, because these could always be done down the road someday, correct, guys? If we find out that the portables just aren't working out or something's going screwball with the portable stuff. So I can appreciate these concerns. I think we could figure this out mechanically. These are obviously made to go in cold weather climates, so that does mean that water is getting in them, whether it's on a hockey rink or whether it's on a parking lot. But I think we could figure that out. But my point is I think we could try the portables first. I do like the idea, this is the first time that I heard it, about skating, summertime skating being done in these rinks. So a roller hockey or something like that's very cool. You couldn't do that if you had these in the way, that's for sure. So I don't know. What do you think, guys?
Also, the portable ones, not right now, because there's no boards up, but a year or two from now, there'll be hockey boards around that small rink. Be a lot more difficult for kids to stop by and rip them off. And they have to go over a 3-foot hockey board.
Yeah, but these are for the
Big rink.
large rinks.
Yeah,
The other
correct.
one's for the basketball, so I don't think the intention isn't to have pickleball on the small rink.
Not at this time.
Or the
right?
basketball rink.
Mr. Bedeau?
How much do these weigh?
The portable ones? Wow. They're Philip, go to the, you guys, which ones were you recommending? The Dominator, I think? Yeah.
I think,
They're ballast filled, right?
Suppose we could go here.
If these are the same ones we were looking at last time, the ones we were looking at were ballast filled either with water or sand.
and those I think are less likely to wander off on you. Not that it can't be done, but more than the ones that are, the lighter ones on the wheels.
I know. So it said it's 100 pounds. Weighted anchor.
What would you do with it if you stole it?
I know, that'd be awesome.
What wouldn't you
Shop,
do?
drive by.
Front yard.
So many activities at your house with one of those. I'm amazed.
100-pound weighted anchor.
Okay, that's what I was assuming. I'm amazed at the price of that one. Is I think. My
Yeah, and you
comment.
can buy multiple of those for the cost of one of the others. So, I mean, I think,
Yeah, Mr. Shipe.
Just as a philosophy, I like the idea of proving a concept in a cheap way and then making it nice over time. So I like the idea of the Dominator.
All right.
You haven't said that very often, have you?
Speaking of what you can do with it,
Moving on. That's right in his wheelhouse. You don't throw that kind of low-hanging
Left
stuff.
the phone laying there.
You put anything low-hanging anywhere remotely near that guy, he's gonna get it, okay? All right, very good. Let's move on. Let's make a decision and move on here, guys.
One more question.
Yes,
Can we,
please.
Can we paint them to match our Brainerd colors? Our
Green,
brick
right? The
colors?
ones, doesn't it, I'm not even gonna say the word anymore. Does the preferred one come in green? I thought it did, right?
Other one? I don't know. That's like getting into the weeds here with detail, but I really want it to,
The gray and green, right? That's the one we're talking about?
I don't think, no. So I think
Is this one you're
the
thinking?
other one had an option for colors, I think.
I'm not sure. I've not looked at the colors.
Oh, is that the one we're talking about?
We're talking at the top
At the
one.
top, yep.
There's
Don't say
no
it.
option, there's no drop-down menu for it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
doesn't- Yep. It doesn't make or break my decision, but I
Yeah, and it'll be on top of the gray pavement with the green net. I think,
It says it's aluminum. Feels paintable.
yeah. Either
okay.
way. So we need a motion?
Yes, please.
I'll make a motion to select the Dominator portable pickleball net system.
We have a motion to select. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Shipe. Dear God, please there be no discussion. Do we have any discussion? There you go. Moving on. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Thank you. We've approved the selected pickleball stanchions. Item number D, update on Memorial Park construction. This is the same guy. You're right there. Boom. Here we go.
Yeah, so I did talk to Troy here a couple times last week. We've been having some issues with doors, so we're still working through some of that, just punch list related items still. So the doors, I think everything's pretty well related to doors yet that we're still working through. So we're still sitting on retainage. If we don't have it done by January, we'll sit on it longer, but we always have that for leverage there. But I talked to one of the guys over at Northson yesterday, and they are going to be there to replace the threshold because they kind of ground that down to nothing. They'd stripped out the screws and banged up the sheetrock. So they'd made kind of more of a mess than what it was before when it already wasn't working and no improvement on the door. So we're still working on that, but we'll get it. I did let them know that we do have, well, at least it was a tentative date for the 23rd. So they do know that there is, the clock's ticking here. So I plan to get over. I think we're going over Thursday afternoon to take a look and see where they're at with it. But we'll keep on them and get these things taken care of. But other than that, I think everything is pretty well in place over there. The column will be done in the spring by High Tech, and then we should be able to get everything wrapped up there with the donor column and rearranging the pavers and those things. So.
Fantastic. And just so everyone else knows, we did get a proposal on the pavers. We have that in place, so the pavers will be getting done as soon as the column is done. So professionally placed in there, real nice. Thank you. Any questions for Chris? All right, moving on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is item E, update on Mississippi Landing Trailhead project. Yes, Mr. Sandy?
Yeah, we can tag team
Mr.
this.
Chansky? Who wants to take it? Whoever.
Everyone's here. So, as some of you are aware, we've been meeting bi-monthly for, I think, a little over 3 months with the project management team. From those meetings, the committee has stepped through kind of each amenity within the park and made decisions on each item. And that was based on, kind of feel, material type, construction type, method, look, and just the overall layout of the park. The overall layout of the park, I would say, is very similar to what you guys saw in the conceptual drawings. So I guess what we wanted to get in front of you tonight is kind of the conceptual layout that the PMT got at the last meeting, and really there was not a lot of comments on. And so we wanted to get it in front of you tonight so that you have a good month or so before the next meeting to look at this, digest it, look at where the amenities are placed. We can provide some more information. So there was a lot of, drawings and things that we went through as far as the look of these structures and things that we can provide to the board if anyone is interested in that. Really is what we only have in the packet here tonight is the layout that WSB put together. That includes the promenade, the open space, the amphitheater, the tiered seating, the hill overlook, the river overlook, river steps, the kayak, canoe launch, the teaching center, and basically all the amenities that were in the proposal that was approved by the LCCMR board. From all of that, WSB put together a kind of I would say a preliminary cost estimate. We're not really at a 30% plan level. This is kind of like the layout level. The cost estimate is looking, pretty good. You can see in the alternate schedule, these were proposed to LCCMR as being alternate items when we were awarded funding. The PMT elected to also look at a couple of items that we should move out of the base schedule and move them into add alternates just to make sure we have flexibility. And those items were number 5 and number 8 in this schedule, the play space and the iconic teaching center. So these items, A1, A2, and items 5 and 8 would all still be designed and bid in a construction contract, but then the city or the park board has the ability to award the bids based on the total project cost and making sure that there's flexibility when we award the contract to stay within our $2,620,500. So that's our budget for this project. That's the $2.85 million less the engineering WSB fees. And so we would design all of these items as they were going to be built, and we would have alternate schedules, much like we had for Memorial Park. When the bids came in, if we were under, we hope to construct everything, but having add alternates gives us that flexibility to award things that are, award the base bid and award other alternates as funding is available. So it's kind of what we have for you tonight. David, I don't know if you have anything
Yeah, I'll
else?
just add just quickly too. I think some of the discussion with taking the teaching center, and that's number 8, and the play space number 5, make them add alternates. Again, Paul says that flexibility. But then there's also discussion about, you know, from the PMT about what really kind of would be a priority at this point, and had a discussion of having the park board consider if bids come into a place where we cannot do everything, that maybe doing the full amphitheater. So in the base bid, you'll see the amphitheater area. So that's pretty much all the grading, the retaining walls, the flat work, but not the actual structure itself. And it might be better to do the whole amphitheater and then maybe do the play, keep the teaching center as a project down the road. We can go get future funding for that. So we don't have a half-built amenity. And the amphitheater could potentially act as a teaching space in the intermediary. Additionally, looked at, you know, from, I pointed out, when you look at the teaching center and the play space, those are also things that can more easily get funding for in the future. There was talked about maybe taking out an overlook. I think an overlook would be much more difficult to acquire funding for. You know, the teaching center, which is essentially a pavilion, and play space, there's plenty of funding opportunities out there for those kind of things. The last thing I just wanted to point out, these changes are, we do have to get approval from the LCCMR. Again, this base, what you see in the base schedule, that is what we told LCCMR we were going to do. The alternative schedule are things that we would like to do. So we just have to get approval from LCCMR that they are okay that we move the play space and the Iconic Teaching Center into add alternates, with the idea that they might not get built and maybe the amphitheater gets built instead. So we do need to get final approval from that from LCCMR. I'm just waiting to hear from them on that, and if that'll have to be something that the staff level, they can just say okay, or if we'll need to make that request to the actual LCCMR board.
Thank you. Mr. Chansky? Any questions? Mr. Beddoe?
Yeah, I just want to make one comment that in sitting in on those meetings, the amphitheater is being designed in a way so that it can be used from either side, either the north or the south, and that south side could actually work very well as a teaching center. So even though that teaching center is something we'd like to see in there, there's potential for the backside of that amphitheater to really be used for the exact same idea, so.
Thank you. Anything else? Engineering must be incorporated into each line item. It's not broken out separately. Is that correct?
The WSB fee is below.
Oh, was it? I was just looking.
So if you see below.
Oh, there it was. Okay,
Yep.
sorry.
So at this point where we're at, Mr. Chair, again, is 2.85 was what we were awarded. At this point, once you take out WSB, you'd say what we have for construction is 2.62.
Understood. I was looking at a different document here. Got it.
How many questions are you wanting us to ask, since we haven't really seen a lot of this stuff? And you guys are very familiar now, most of you. Are you just,
Yeah, sure. I mean,
are these parking spots? Is there like, is that what that is? And it looks like there's like a slide, but obviously it's not a slide. What is, like?
So I can
what
answer,
is
so
all of
on
that?
the street, so part of this project is is reconstructing that section of right-of-way on East River Road. That won't be funded, the city will be doing that, but we're having that designed as part of this project. So that's what that is, putting that parallel parking into angled parking along the street. Further south, there is some parallel parking that's really for, kind of more short-term for kayak or canoe unloading. The area, I don't know which part you're calling a slide, Kara.
Oh, wait, sorry, what?
Which section were you saying that looks like the?
Yeah, that looks like a slide. So, right where it says ADA access to hill overlook, how it kind of shoots off like, I know, I don't have a way to show you.
Yeah, so
Well-
this right here.
It's a
Well,
path.
no, I know that's a path, but like, what is this right here?
That's the end of the sidewalk, right?
Oh, that's just a sidewalk.
Yep, that's the end of the trail.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah. So I know it sounds silly, I don't know. what this
People
all
can be able
looks
to walk
new.
through the grass up the hill, but this is our ADA
Oh,
path
yeah,
here. You have to have ADA to get to it.
okay.
So one of the things that we really pushed with this project was equitable access to everything, so that's where ADA needs to come into play with all aspects of the project.
Cool. And then what bathrooms did you end up going with? I'm just curious about that, since that was like a hot
Do you
topic.
have a picture on
know
one
if
of
we
your
have a-
computers?
Remember what it was called?
Aren't they like,
Can't remember what it's called, but it's a four stall
Nice.
prefabricated
You'd
building.
be surprised.
Dominator.
Shut up.
we're just gonna have that be like the
Was it the
name of
Magnolia? What was the company called though?
Or the was the Wolverine or the Badger or?
No, it wasn't one of the animal names.
We had somebody reach out to us also.
So there was a Wolverine and there was a Badger. I remember that.
Yeah, it's a four
like the
stall.
toilets they have in kind
It's a
of-
four stall.
No, better than that. These are like
Prefab
concrete
building.
buildings, pre-built buildings.
Okay.
It'll
So
have 4 individual stalls that will be unisex.
they're the bathrooms.
Whose screen is up right now?
I'm loading it.
Okay,
trying
yeah, we'll
to-
get the picture here real quick.
Oh, yeah, see, those look like they're kind of like Cayunas.
Yeah, I would thought you were talking about maybe the ones at Cuyuna that are not plumbed. Well, they're not, they're just.
So these
yeah.
are plumbed,
These are
though?
plumbed,
Yes,
yes.
Okay.
to be plumbed.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I can
Chris,
give you a
please.
little more info on these too. There's actually a lot, they can do a lot with these. I mean, these are all solid concrete, so they can make it look like, this one's more almost like the half log look, but we're looking more at like the actual, it looks like siding almost. It kind of looks like your typical, park buildings. There's a lot of varieties in colors. We're looking at the stainless steel, nothing's invincible, but a little more durable finishes rather than a porcelain, finish inside. So they can do a lot with these as far as colors and the finish to make them, look more like your kind of typical park buildings are. And this one will be, connected to your city sewer and water. It won't be, they have options with, more remote places where you don't have access to those utilities, but this will be connected to your city utilities, so.
There'll be like 4 unisex?
Correct.
Is that what's?
Yep, two,
Yep.
yep.
Yep, there'll be 4 restrooms, and then there'll be
Yeah.
mechanic rooms, so that's what we'll have most likely all our power coming into, all of your cameras and everything we run out of there, irrigation. things
Drinking
like
fountain on the
that, so-
outside, I think we decided, right?
Yep.
Yep.
And all 4 stalls will be unisex and ADA accessible.
Yeah, that's good.
I like the new spot for them too. Yep, much better.
Last thing would be the play container. Does that just mean playground or like something eventually? Or what's a container?
You have a
mean?
picture? Generally, what the play area that we talked about doing here was organic. It's boulders, half buried, stumps kind of up out of the ground, more indigenous landform type stuff versus like a playground set.
The discussion with that was that a big emphasis around that park is nature. And so that was kind of go with, why don't we just keep pushing that?
And low maintenance.
That nature, low maintenance, it's cheaper, more within the budget for the whole project as well, than doing a grand playground that you would see at any other park.
Anything else?
I like it.
It is. It's very cool.
It's gonna be fun to watch that
Yeah.
take place.
So then, as Paul said, the intention will be to bring kind of a final design to the park board in January for your approval.
Final layout.
A final layout, thank you. Final layout in January for your approval, so then WS will begin the design to get ready to go out for bid, hopefully in March.
They will be working off of this layout up until that point. So if you see large things that, you're like, whoa, why is this here kind of thing, we need to know about that sooner rather than later, because they will be working off of this. And those are the items that can really derail a project quickly, are items moving, not necessarily the finishes, the shingle and color, all that stuff. That stuff is easy to change, but the location is the big thing.
So that sounds like homework, guys. Speak now or now's the time to dig in and review this project, not when we see our final drawings in January. So, Mr. Bedell.
I just want to ask, do we know how far the play area is from the water or from the slope? That would be my only question with it.
Chris may be able to answer that faster than I can. scale.
From the top of the slope, I would say around 40 feet maybe, roughly.
Yeah, the scales, yeah, that's 40 feet is,
And that's from the furthest edge of that container, so.
yeah, I would say it's probably about 40, looking at the scale down below.
Kiwanis is right on the water too.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about it. I just want to make sure that when I'm visually looking at it, that I have an understanding. 40 feet is, I believe, far enough.
Very good.
How far down the road does this go? Is this only in that empty space, or are we taking down trees? Like,
Do you want to speak to the tree situation, Mr. Sandy?
Yeah, so this was an item that we discussed at length
Okay.
at the PMT meetings. Really, you know, the purpose of this park is to get access or views of the river. There are a lot of nice trees down there along the riverbank. The kind of consensus from the group was get rid of the ratty, scrubby type of box elders if they're, you know, large. What are the really annoying trees?
Buckthorn?
Cottonwoods. If there's like small cottonwoods that are just starting to grow, and maintain the nice oaks and the nice trees that are in the area down there, but open it up, limb up the trees so you can get views of the river. So that was kind of the discussion that was had at those meetings.
is there a landmark down there now? Like, if I drove down there, like how far it goes? You know, so
So-
it obviously starts.
Yeah, from where it's gonna go, if you go down there now, it's where the parking lot is, and then I would say it's probably a further, I don't know, 100 feet south of the parking lot, that green space, as it kind of triangles in, it includes that piece as well.
Right up to where kind of East River Road straightens out. You see that curve right there at the top of the map? And then it straightens out to go by the school parking lots. That's kind of where it stops. At least the road construction, so.
Are we pressed for time at all with the state funding? Remark, with any contracts, or any things we have to be deciding on, so they see where their $3 million is going?
No, so there's reporting stuff that we have to do as we move through this process, but we'll be working closely with WSB to meet those.
Yep, so when it comes to the funding, we have until, all funds have to be spent and then reported back to LCCMR by June 30th of 2024. With that being said, the proposal that WSB put together is our goal is to have, this project have a nice bow on it by next October.
Awesome. It's just an update, no motion needed here, correct?
No, yeah, but just ask the park board to look at this in detail.
Yes,
and
please.
if you have any huge glaring concerns, let us know.
Yep. Everyone hear that? Very good. Awesome. Continuing on, that will end all of our presentations and unfinished business. Item 8A, this is under our new business, this is the approval of the cooperative agreement with the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources for Lum Park Boat Access Plank Placement. Please, Mr. Sandy.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this has been a concern of Troy's for a while, and I reached out to DNR staff on our public boat access at Lum Park. It's starting to fall into some disrepair. And what you have in front of you tonight is the DNR standard agreement for replacing the concrete planks that you access you put your boat in at. What this kind of goes over is, you know, who's responsible for what and who's responsible long-term for maintenance. It's really nothing different than we're currently doing. It's our boat access, we maintain it, but the DNR does have funds available for them to supply the planks and actually replace them with their staff. And so what this is basically doing is they would supply the materials for the replacement and the time, and we would supply some gravel or some rock and any other incidental stuff that they might need at the time of this replacement. We're hoping that we can do this in the summer this year. Troy has already been in contact with the foreman that does this work for the DNR. And so really all we're looking for is an approval on the cooperative agreement and so that we can move forward with getting those planks replaced at the Lum Park Boat Access.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Sandy.
Cost-wise, looks like we've made out pretty well on it. The DNR's paying most of the heavy fees, I would guess?
Yeah, so they have a couple options for this. So, and he explained this to me to begin with. We can do the placement of the planks ourselves, However, that is a very steep access. It drops off very quickly, and we were worried about having the capabilities of placing those concrete chunks. And if it's free for us to have them do it, we said,
Please do.
that's
yeah.
beautiful. They just asked that we supply some aggregate and stuff for them, which we have available already. So really a good deal for us. We just take the long-term maintenance, which we've already been doing. So
Nice.
Great. All right. Staff is looking for a motion on this, so if we have one, I'd love to hear it.
Move to approve the cooperative agreement.
Very good. We got a motion to approve by Mr. Shipe,
I'll second.
a second by Ms. Schaefer. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Very good. All right, last item under new business is to approve the Brainerd Parks and Recreation 2022 fee schedule. Who is, I can't, is this Mr. Sandy?
yeah,
Okay.
I can take it. So this is pretty much the same as you've seen in the past. We have basically fees for advertising, camping, and fields. A lot of the stuff has to do with pavilion rentals too. But really not a lot different than what you've seen in the past. We did reflect the motions that were made about the campground stuff in this updated schedule. We did add some language about field rental fees being waived for youth and travel teams, provided all participants are registered in community education, park and recreation programs. And we did reference some, the city may enter into additional agreements with Community Ed, the American Legion, the school district, the VFW, BBBA, for additional field maintenance and equipment use. We've talked briefly about getting contracts put into place about potentially traveling teams, BBBA, during tournament weekends, utilizing city equipment and doing some of the field maintenance if they choose to do that themselves, utilizing city equipment. And so we just wanted to make sure that that was clear, that the city can enter into those agreements with those entities and have them perform their own field maintenance in lieu of being charged for a field maintenance worker on those tournament weekends. That was an ask both by the Brainerd Bees here at the last meeting, and I think there's some opportunity there with Brainerd Baxter Baseball Association and some of the other traveling teams that may have volunteers that want to do that type of work. So we did include some language there for that. Staff has been working on updating our forms and kind of standardizing them. So you might see them a little different. What we've kind of done is include a cover page with all the fees, and the applicant can select which amenity they want to reserve, and then they move on to subsequent forms to fill out in a packet of material. So we think it'll be a little bit easier to kind of navigate for potential people that want to rent a field or rent a pavilion, rent the campground kind of stuff. So this is kind of similar to what we've seen in the past at the end of each year, and we just want to get these in place for the beginning of 2022.
Great. All right, guys, any thoughts?
I just like that seniors went up to 65. I'm not a senior anymore. That's a good thing.
We'll bump it every year if you
I
want.
know.
Baby.
That's right, yeah.
We'll move that thing up to 90. You'll be
I might not make it to 65, so I'm just happy I won't get it fired. Another question I have, I'm sorry, Kara, but
Yes, please.
if somebody wants to rent an ice rink, are they just doing this when it's not open? $25 or whatever it is, I'm off the top of my head, but can they just rent it any time, or does it have to be when it's not normal hours it's open?
We've never had anyone ask, have we? Have we ever rented an ice rink?
Yes.
Have we?
This would be more of, Baja wants to use a rink for a practice or something, and we're not already utilizing it. And we want to make sure there's always another rink available for the public. But that would be a situation. And then if we're not open, they'd have to also, if they wanted to, rent the warming house. And I don't even think we do that. So it would be just the rink if we weren't open. Kind of like Discovery Woods when they come in, but they're a little bit different. So, because they don't pay, correct? The Discovery Woods.
Actually, you waived all the fees for, if you look at the bottom, waived for individuals, entities located within boundaries of ISD 181, but as far as reserving for exclusive use, we can reserve a hockey rink if a group wants to use it. It's an hour rental or reservation, as long as, like Katie said, there's another hockey rink available for the public to use. So if pond hockey's going on at Mill Avenue, we really wouldn't have another rink at that time available. But if pond hockey isn't going on, then we could let them rent or use Bain exclusively,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
All right.
One quick
Yeah,
question.
please, Kara.
I was curious about the deposit, $25. Is that on, do they get that back? For the
Yes, it's a
key?
deposit. Yeah, as long as they return the key
Okay.
and leave the facility clean.
Okay, and we don't need to put that in detail if we don't have any issues with that?
It's in detail on the permit they sign.
Oh, I see, okay.
Mr. Scheib?
I'm curious about the food truck. What's the city annual permit? Like,
Yeah, so a food truck vendor has the opportunity to fill out an annual permit with the community development department. And at that time, we charge them the $50 fee if they want to serve in parks also. And so it's a $50 fee per day unless they go through the community development department and basically sign up for the yearly permit at $350.
So they can get a daily through us, or they can add it on to also serve in parks through the food truck permit through the city. They're both the same price, one day, right? $50 for each, right? Isn't it? Is that right?
I believe it's
The add-on.
Yeah. So it's like I believe it's $50 a day for the parks up to
$350.
350, or you can pay $350 up front and get the entire city plus the parks.
Gotcha. There you go.
is that really a competitive rate for us then? Like if they can just go through community development and pay 7 days and then do it all year.
I think this would just be for your one out food truck that is, coming through the area and wants to get one extra day and don't want to pay the whole $350 fee if they're only going to be here one day a summer or something. They have a carnival
It's a
in
special
town.
event.
Yep, or a special event or something where they might stop up and want to just do it for a day and not pay the whole $350.
Cool.
I'm happy I can get a keg of beer for $20.
Well, you only get the permit,
Oh,
Yeah, you got to supply the cake.
and there's a deposit.
One last.
Yeah, please.
Do we need to be more specific about entities, the double star footnote? Is it just any entity within the school district boundary? Or does it have to be nonprofits?
We've typically just waived the fees for anyone, I believe. That's, well,
Park Board just approved that
yeah,
this year.
yeah.
Oh, it was based, so the conversation started with the reciprocative type relationship that we had with the ISD 181. So that's how this language basically got created. They let us use some of their stuff. So that's how it got started. But it's a great point. It's a great question. Just as background, that's how it.
That makes sense.
I don't think you were here at that time, but maybe.
Yeah, it hasn't caused us problems.
That was the intent of why that's at the bottom, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right, guys?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, if it's recent, I don't feel the need to change it.
But we haven't had any issues with it, I think.
See,
Thus
that
far,
for years and years, the center used the tennis courts at Gregory, and they paid a $20 participant fee for the whole season, every person that played tennis there in the summer. And then this year, and then the other group that uses it a lot is like St. Francis and Discovery Woods will bring kids over to play tennis or skate. And they just, Park Board decided to not charge. We weren't charging Discovery Woods, we weren't charging St. Francis, so then they said, well, we probably shouldn't be charging the center either.
And I think part of it was the mindset, from my recollection, and kind of my position is if we can cover our own costs, if we can just get people in our parks, for free, that's fantastic. More people in our parks is the thing. We have to cover our costs, but if the idea is to incentivize people to come in as much as possible.
Cool. Thank you for, yeah.
Good? All right, looking for a motion on this one.
So move.
There we go. Mr. Boder. Second by Ms. Schaefer. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Very good. Thank you. All right, we're off to our public forum. I'm going to open the public forum at 5:05. This is the time for members of the public to step forward. Do we have anyone? Very good. I'm going to close the public forum at 5:05, and I'm going to move on to item number 10, which is city admin report, something I look forward to every meeting, every week, every month. To hear you speak and address is just a pleasure. So please, Ms. Bergman, take it away.
Well, with that, welcome, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Just a few updates. First of all, just want to talk a little bit about the city's budget. The city, as you know, back in September, did set our preliminary levy at a 2% levy increase over 2021. And the council did hold a workshop on November 22nd to discuss the budget. And just a general consensus of the council was to keep that at a 2%. We can lower our levy after the preliminary levy is set, but we cannot increase the levy. So just general consensus by the council was to keep that at 2%. We did have our Truth and Taxation meeting last night. We had one person in attendance that did not speak, and then the city council will adopt the budget on their meeting on Monday night. Any questions on the budget? Parking Commission recommendations. I have both Paul and David are here. They can certainly pop in here if there's additional things they want to add. As you know, the city owns 4 parking lots. We own one at City Hall, Maple Street, the Burlington Northern lot on Front Street, and then also in the alley. The lots have been in the red for several years, and so the city council reestablished a parking commission to explore options on how to make those parking lots at a minimum cash flow. The Parking Commission met for most of 2021 and really looked at a number of different things in addition to just the revenues that were generated by the parking lots. The council did have a public input session on December 6th. We had many people here that were here to speak to the council about their thoughts on the recommendations by the Parking Commission. And what was decided by the council was to remove the parking meter option or recommendation and ask that the staff bring this back to the Parking Commission for just kind of a reevaluation on the other recommendations. Questions on the parking recommendations? All right.
A little warm fuzzy there. We're gonna meet again.
How'd I do, Mr. Mayor?
That's a fantastic job. We have moved on from parking meters in the city of Brainerd.
They look so nice, though.
We have moved on.
So last but certainly not least, the city did get a couple of offers to purchase lots in our industrial park. This gets a little complicated on how government sometimes works and how this actually operates. The city council for years has actually used their Economic Development Authority, their EDA, to sell their land. One of the biggest reasons for that is because the EDA has something called a right of reverter. So, which cities do not have that authority, but EDAs do. And what that basically is that if we sell the land, we sell them with an agreement for the developer to do something. If that developer does not do what they've agreed to do, then that land can be reverted back to the city. The offers that we received from 2 different organizations, really the plan was that the city council, the EDA asked that the city council convey lots to the EDA. On one of their meetings in November, the council did agree to convey that land December 6th. to convey that land to the EDA, and on last Thursday morning, the EDA then heard proposals from both of the organizations who are interested in purchasing those lots. There are two organizations, B&D Power Solutions and then Clow Properties, who are both interested in mining cryptocurrency, and that is what they are asking to purchase the land to do. It's a bit of a chicken and an egg. They wanted to purchase the industrial park lots because they're in close proximity to our transformer. They also need to go to Brainerd Public Utilities to negotiate the power. So chicken and an egg is that they really didn't want to negotiate these agreements with BPU until they knew that the city or the EDA would be agreeable to sell them the land. And they also don't want to purchase the land until they have agreements with Brainerd Public Utilities. So the next step in this is that the Brainerd Public Utilities Commission will consider or discuss the use of power or the amount of power that both of these organizations are looking to purchase. That will be held at the BPU meeting on December 21st. Again, we'll kind of see where this goes as these two projects continue to move forward. Be happy to answer any questions. Otherwise, that concludes my report.
Anyone?
I'm new to this city government stuff. Are the people at EDA paid for their position?
They are not.
So they're all, but majority of them are council members, I believe, correct?
So the way that the statute, we actually have 7 seats on the EDA. The statute requires 2 of those seats to be held by city council members. Right now, we currently have 6. We do have a vacancy for the EDA. The EDA members are appointed by they're recommended by the mayor, appointed by the council, and the city council approves their budget. Otherwise, they are an autonomous organization. One of the council members was on the EDA prior to being elected to the city council, so that member has continued to stay on the EDA until his term is up.
One
Yeah.
short question. How specific, you mentioned the right of reverter. How specific are the terms of that in the sale? Like, is it economic values, jobs created, or is it more specific? You're building a building with X dimensions and Y capacity?
Is it case by case?
It is. The city can sell land to whomever, and we've been working with our attorneys quite a bit on this. What we do, however, is negotiate a purchase and development agreement, and that a development agreement will lay out those terms. Commissioner Scheib, we really even haven't started those negotiations because, again, it's all contingent upon the availability of power. So until we know how much the Brainerd Public Utilities Commission is willing to provide for them for their power, we're not going to start on those development agreements.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you
good.
very much.
City engineer, Mr. Sandy.
Yeah, there's really not a lot to report on. Most of my items were in the packet for approval tonight. So really, all we had on my end was just our monthly task, which is really a half a month's of tasks. So since we have met at the end of November. So I know Katie's got quite a report, though, so I'll pass it over to her.
Oh, well, with that intro, boom. The expectations are high now. All right, Katie, please get started.
Thank you. All right. Well, as you know, we conducted a post-season survey to our adult softball and kickball participants and teams. I enclosed kind of a brief summary of what those results were for your viewing pleasure. We're doing pretty well as far as just rating the league as itself. Overall rating is pretty high on meeting expectations or exceeding. An area where a lot of players wanted to see improvement was our umpires, and I think once we clearly outline rules a little bit better and getting umpires as well as players on the same page, it's not just the umpire's fault, which a lot of players will claim it is. A lot of players just don't know the rules.
Always my fault.
So making sure everyone's on the same page a little bit better for the 2022 seasons, I think will help that rating increase. And then we had a segment of the survey where we talked about concessions and some changes next year to our concessions. I think we will not provide concessions for kickball. Traditionally did not sell very much, and that also showed in the survey a lot of people just didn't purchase on kickball nights. The other change is we're looking at placing masters on Wednesday nights, eliminating having to sell concessions on Fridays. So that will work really well and have more people in our parks on Wednesdays, being able to maximize the fields on that day. So that, as far as concessions, are some two new items that we'll be probably presenting a little bit more in depth with we're gonna do a concession layout for 2022, I think in January. The 2-week turnaround just wasn't enough to fully do that. So that's just a little bit there. I asked on the survey improvements they'd like to see to the park. We usually use or at least we advertise to use the banner sales for Memorial Park towards an improvement. We're getting pretty low on funds there, so we're kind of starting over on a new initiative to what we want to put those funds towards. So about 50% want to see the lights replaced with LED lights on fields 1 and 2, similar to what we have on field 3, which would help a lot with just illuminating the park better. Field 3 is just a lot better lit at night. And I'm sure it uses a lot less electricity than the halogen lights that we have on fields 1 and 2. So it'll be good all around to start working towards that project. And then I also listed a warning track. There's pros and cons of installing a warning track, fully aware of those. But a lot of people wanted to see that. And then 17.33% had other ideas of implementing for future years. Some of them might be easier fixes and maybe something we can even take care of next year. Others are definitely more, large expenses that we would have to look at. But I think some of them are really manageable and we can, handle those low-hanging fruit for next year. And then we had a couple other questions that you guys might find interesting. The men's leagues, so MS1 is our upper, and then our MS2, our lower, decided to allow, and I'm kind of a democratic when it comes to running the leagues. I let them kind of make the decision on some of these controversial rules for the leagues. They want to allow women to sign their rosters, so that's a different change, but overall, there's a lot of women that can play in the men's league. The only thing with that is for the state tournaments, USA softball, they don't allow women to be on the rosters. So this would be a league roster specific rule. But it's definitely progressive of us. And then as far as USA state softball tournaments, in the past, Brainerd has elected to try and run states, but in the past 2 years, we've had to cancel almost all of them due to low enrollment. And that's a huge concern for USA softball, and I think they're working on new ways to potentially increase participation, and I don't know exactly what their ideas are, but I've been told they'd like to see leagues send teams that win leagues to state somehow. We're not going to implement it for 2022, but maybe something to look at for 2023. Is it maybe raising our registration fees so we can cover sending a team to state? But that's an option. Or potentially changing a sanctioning body. I'm not sure. The whole sanctioning issue is beyond my league level, but that's what's going on with adult softball, and that's the results. I do have a further in-depth response. If you guys would like me to send that to you, I can get that to you via email. Some of the comments are pretty funny. I left those out though. Okay. So the next is youth pond hockey. Current numbers, 10, 9, and adult hockey. I think we have 3 teams signed up. We're going to get more for adult pond hockey. I don't really have a fear there. Youth pond hockey, I think we have enough for a team in each league right now. Obviously, the deadline before the rates go up is Friday. I think we'll definitely have a solid one team, but we are in a league with Nisswa. So there'll be more than one team in the league where they get to play on Saturdays. It's a developmental program, so the stress is more skill building anyway, which is fine. And then if we need to play ourselves, or maybe we do a 4-on-4 on the weekends, we can do that. But I'd like to see the program happen this year. Next is special events. Paws in the Park this Saturday, 1 to 3, Buster Dog Park. If you want your dog to have a picture with Santa, head on over. So that's just a fun, low budget program that we do for the dogs. I have attached a 2022 special events and programming, just kind of an overview of what you guys can expect for 2022. I have the tentative dates listed, so you guys can put those on your calendar if you plan to attend or just want to know what's going on. You have all those dates. Something I want you guys to think about just between now and the January park board meeting is I have two potentials. August, I think there's a potential there to do a special event in August, and then December, I think there's another potential to do a large special event. And I'd like to see that work in ties with Visit Brainerd and Brainerd Community Action for the December one with what they already are doing, so we're not competing against them. But that's kind of something I'd like you guys to think about.
You said August and December, excuse me. Sorry.
Yes, August and December. Just some ideas, and I'll come with some ideas as well. But I just, if there's things that you think we're lacking as a community, or there's certain parks that you'd like to see utilized in a specific way, I'd like to hear about it. But yeah, those are 2 months that I think we
Big
could
Sev.
definitely do something.
Big Sev.
It's Big Sev.
Okay.
Downhill bonanza.
Yeah, and then
December 20, that's it, that's
Yeah.
what it is. It's the
So-
Downhill Nationals.
Toboggan racing.
No, you make your own thing, that the boxes going down, you build them all out of whatever you want, boom, you judge them, right? Downhill Nationals, Big Sev, huh? Done.
Sold.
It could be huge. Sorry, we got off on
You're
that.
on
We
the
got
committee
ideas
to
coming
make
out
that
already.
happen. Okay. Okay. Yep. Yeah. No. And then just a list of all the programming we're offering, but includes the YMCA and Brainerd Community Education. So just an overview, so you guys can get an idea of what that looks like. So, and then just a quick update on the Brainerd Community Action, YMCA, BBVA, and the Brainerd Bees. Staff's working on working through their provisionary budget that they provided us, and then kind of redlining the contracts that we had agreed upon last year to what we'd like to see this year. That's kind of compromising between the two bodies, and then we'll be presenting those to you in January. And then also that we've paid out our Q4 for both community education and YMCA. So, but yeah, we're definitely working, and I think Paul's kind of doing the liability look for the maintenance equipment for the BBBA and the Brainerd Bees. And I think we do want to be in contract with them. So we're looking into that. And then Jennifer did an excellent job talking at Community Focus this past week for me, and talking about the warming houses and pond hockey.
So 2 things. Number 1, thank you to the mayor for being there. Much appreciated. But secondly, thank you for always giving me content for Community Focused. It's so fun to talk about all the stuff we have going on in our parks. And honestly, I think half of Community Focus was on what the park board is doing. So thank you.
And Katie as well. A lot of these events are, so thank you so much. All right.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
No, go ahead. I was just gonna say, on a side note, that pond hockey program, everyone that has had a kid playing hockey knows how expensive it is. It's the coolest thing in the world. I can't believe there's not more people.
Is broom ball still a thing?
It faded off.
It's something to
around
look
here.
into. Eric Hepner from CLC student, but he used to run it through the Civic Center. It was at 10 p.m. at night. I don't know if there's interest out there. I did a quick survey on our pond hockey page on who would play. Not very many. It's hard to officiate, so it would be kind of a self-officiate thing. But I think we did try a couple years ago a drop-in. Like, this is the time we're allotting for this to be played. I don't know how
We
often.
just built a beautiful rink. I'd just love to see it get used at some point.
Yeah.
It
Or
was a
we're
big-
going to turn that into a pleasure rink, put lights around it. And
It
call
was a
good.
great program back in the mid-90s, but it just
I was going
went
to
off
say
the
that.
cliff.
Yeah. The lights? Yeah. Lights are amazing. Lights are amazing.
Now we're all in wheelchairs. We're done, but we still can't get a discount at the campground now. That's the best part.
You did that to yourself.
I agree. I had to do that to myself.
Katie, do you have plans to, so I see the pickleball, it says the center's running it. Is that, am I understanding that right? So like, were you thinking of doing pickleball tournaments or something with the new pickleball court?
Yeah, that's. I mean, I actually sent an email to Paul just the other day saying there is some opportunity. I think it's just hard with pickleball. It's kind of like tennis. They kind of cringe at $5. Typically, people that come to play. So it's trying to find that and then someone to collect the fees. So the center already has that structure. They have Jeannie Larson who, runs it. So that's nice. But if we did a drop-in, there's an option. There's an opportunity to do pickleball. There's an opportunity to do like a roller hockey. There's an opportunity to do like even a skate. Now that we have a really nice sound system over at Memorial Park, there's an opportunity to do some kind of
80s night.
I don't know, like a disco,
Duran, flock of seagulls.
like a disco type roller
Let's see the man in
event.
spandex. Let's go.
Don't we all? Who doesn't?
Yeah, there's an opportunity there.
I just feel like pickleball in a lot of people's minds is for people that attend the center, when actually it's super fun and a really great workout.
Yep.
So it might be
Yep.
cool to figure out a way to get all
Put them on the ice.
Yeah.
Groundbreaking new sport, right?
Then we definitely need the portable
Then
nets.
they're definitely the portable, yes.
Yeah.
Sponsored by the center and
dominated.
St. Joseph's.
Orthopedic surgeons.
On site.
All right, what else? This has turned into kind of an open forum here. Yeah, Mr. Bedot.
I just want to say that last night we were going to go to the Arboretum to look at lights, and they weren't open because we should have, done our research and found out they're not open on Mondays. However, we drove around town looking at lights, and North Brainerd, obviously, really nice place to look at lights, but Gregory Park is probably the best looking lit up area in the whole city. It's
I
amazing.
agree 100%.
That it looks like a movie, and I can't say enough that how great that looks. I mean, just the idea of being able to go skate at a park that looks like that is phenomenal, and you could hang those lights up any day, all
was
over the place
Katie's
for all I
idea.
care. They're phenomenal.
They are. They're awesome. They look
They
fantastic.
look amazing.
Yep.
We just delivered Katie's idea.
Yep, they look great.
Deliver those all over the place. Let's go.
Looks great.
Now imagine if we have a $30,000 Christmas tree sitting there as well.
I was thinking exactly that. Can I also say one last thing about thank you for allowing the newly formed East Bank Neighborhood Association for doing their first event where they had hay rides at Buffalo Hills Park. They had over 80 people show up and constantly running. The rides took about 15 minutes, and there was a steady flow of people the entire time for 2 straight hours. And I hear that the mayor made some amazing hot chocolate.
That is the word.
So
I've heard.
4.5 gallons got drank of hot chocolate. But I
Whether or
just wanna
not it was alcohol-free is,
well, that's to be said, neither here nor there. I just want to say thank you to the park board and to the Parks Department for allowing that group to use that and for plowing it so that they could get in and out there. Great event. They hope to do that again next year. So,
great, thank you. Anything else? Mr. Shape?
Couple questions. Katie, one of the feedback points was that the lights on fields 1 and 2 turn off randomly. Is that like the whole field's
Overheating.
dark?
Overheating, yeah.
Just in the middle of the game?
Done that for years.
Yeah, they'll and it's a problem. Typically when it gets really, really hot out, obviously this summer it was like 100 degrees, but that's just added heat. And then when they're running for a long period of time, because they're all in a fuse box and we're not using like a simple like light switch, we're actually flipping fuses to turn on lights. So it just overheats. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how that would be a problem for.
We had a number on this at one time. When we started the Memorial Park project, we had a number developed on what it would take to upgrade those lights. I don't remember what it was, but we did have a number, and we were going to lump it in originally on the Memorial Park. We ended up cutting it budgetary reasons, but there was a number for that, so it was not cheap, but it was something that we looked at before. Maybe we should revisit.
Yeah, to me, it just feels like a critical part of running a league is lighting the fields
It
so you
happens a
can
lot.
hit things.
It does.
Cool. That's how I read it, and I wanted to confirm it was that bad. Cool. Only other thing, I remember in the park presentation to the council about the budget, Councilmember Johnson was interested in kind of communicating what activities the park board runs versus YMCA versus community ed. Is there any way you could, this recreation programming document is great, if you could share that on social media or something so that folks who want to get their kids involved know, oh, YMCA is doing this or community ed's doing this?
Yeah, I think we were planning on doing some sort of postcard and sending it out, and explaining where to register kids. But yeah, easy fix, I can send that out on social media or even have it on our website of who does what. But yeah.
Cool.
That's it, guys. Right? Anything else?
May I make a motion?
You know what to do, Mr. Boder.
Well, you walked over my motion, but yes, can I make a motion to adjourn?
You may, please. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Oh, we have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Very good.
Kim.
Thanks, guys. Good work, everyone. Thank you.
You better
And Kim says, hit the treats. She does not want to bring any home.
Kim, thank you.